I handed her the piece of paper with my Netflix password written on it, and I smiled like I meant it. Are you sure? Jessica asked, her eyes lighting up with that particular blend of gratitude and greed I'd spent 28 years mistaking for friendship. You're literally saving my life. Money's been so tight since the divorce. Of course, I said, keeping my voice warm, sisterly. What are friends for? What are friends for, indeed? In my first life, I'd asked myself that question exactly once, right before I died. I'd been crying so hard I could barely see the road, my hands shaking on the steering wheel, my whole world shattered into pieces so small I couldn't even begin to put them back together. The truck came out of nowhere. Or maybe I drove into it. I still don't know. What I do know is that I woke up 6 months earlier in my bed with my alarm going off and my husband's arm draped across my waist, and the absolute certainty that I'd been given something impossible, a second chance. The first time around, I didn't see it coming. How could I? Jessica had been my best friend since we were 7 years old. We'd shared everything, secrets, clothes, dreams, that terrible apartment in college with the bathtub in the kitchen. When I landed my dream job as a senior product manager at Vertex Technologies, I'd gotten her hired too. When I married Marcus, she was my maid of honor. When my mom died, she held my hand through the funeral. I trusted her completely. I shouldn't have. The first time around, it started so slowly I didn't notice. Marcus working late more often. Jessica texting me less, always busy. Small things from my desk at work going missing. A flash drive here, a notebook there. I thought I was being paranoid, stressed from the pressure of my promotion to director of innovation. Then came the product launch that should have made my career. I'd spent 18 months developing a revolutionary data encryption algorithm. It was brilliant. If I say so myself, a completely new approach to cybersecurity that would have put Vertex years ahead of the competition. I'd kept it under wraps, shared the details only with my immediate team in our secured project files. 3 weeks before our scheduled announcement, Titan Corp, our biggest competitor, unveiled the exact same technology, my technology. The investigation was swift and brutal. The leaked files were traced back to my computer, my login credentials, my access times. I was fired within 48 hours, escorted out of the building by security while my colleagues watched. The tech industry is small and news travels fast. I was blacklisted before I even made it home. Then Marcus left, just packed his things one Tuesday afternoon and told me he couldn't handle the drama anymore. He didn't even look sorry. I fell apart, lost the house in the divorce, burned through my savings on lawyers trying to clear my name. Ended up in a studio apartment in the worst part of town, working as a barista, watching my entire life circle the drain. It was Jessica who told me the truth in the end. She came to visit me 3 months before I died, before the truck, before the final unraveling. She sat in my depressing little apartment with its water-stained ceiling and broken radiator, and she told me everything. About the affair with Marcus that had started the day after my wedding, about how she'd been copying my work files for months, selling them to Titan Corp for amounts of money that made my stomach turn, about how easy it had been to frame me, to use my credentials when I'd trustingly given her access to my computer to check her email real quick. You were always so naive, she'd said, examining her manicure. So trusting, it made it almost too easy. I'd asked her why ruin me like that? We were best friends. She'd laughed. Best friends? Ellie, you were always the golden child. The smart one, the successful one. Do you know what it's like? Living in someone's shadow your whole life? I just wanted what you had. And now I have it. Marcus and I are getting married next month, by the way. I got promoted to director last week. At Titan Corp, obviously. Your algorithm made me quite valuable to them. That's when something inside me broke completely. I wish I could say I fought back, that I found some way to expose her, but I didn't. I just gave up, stopped eating regularly, stopped caring, started making mistakes at my barista job until they let me go too. The day I died, I'd been served an eviction notice. I'd had $17 in my bank account and no prospects. And then I woke up 6 months earlier, before the product launch, before the betrayal was complete, before I lost everything. I spent the first hour hyperventilating into my pillow while Marcus snored beside me. Then I spent the next 3 days locked in my memories, comparing everything I remembered with everything I was seeing. The dates matched, the conversations matched. It was real. I had gone back, and I knew exactly what was going to happen. The thing about having lived through your worst nightmare once is that you see the signs everywhere the second time around. Jessica's questions about my project that had seemed like friendly interest before now rang alarm bells. Marcus's overtime followed patterns I recognized. The way Jessica always needed to borrow my computer when hers was acting up. I saw it all clearly now, but this time I wasn't going to be the victim. This time I was going to be smart. The problem was evidence. In my first life, they'd been so careful. The affair happened in hotel rooms paid for with cash. The data theft happened through my own credentials, making me look guilty. By the time I knew the truth, I had no way to prove it, so I needed them to incriminate themselves. Thoroughly, undeniably. Still work, I suppose, in cybersecurity. I know exactly how corporate surveillance operates. Vertex Technologies, like most tech companies, has extensive monitoring on all work computers, every keystroke logged, random screen captures, website tracking. It's all in the employee handbook that nobody reads, buried in section 7.3.2. Employees should have no expectation of privacy when using company resources. The monitoring data is comprehensive, but it's also privacy protected. IT, security keeps it locked down tight, only accessible by the security team and senior management in cases of suspected policy violation or legal investigation. As Director of Innovation, I'm senior management. The plan formed itself in my mind like an equation solving itself. I needed Jessica to violate company policy so egregiously that it would trigger an investigation. I needed that investigation to uncover everything, the affair, the data theft, all of it. And I needed it all on record, official, undeniable. I just needed bait. That's where Netflix came in. See? Knew Jessica. Knew her better than she knew herself, probably. She was lazy, entitled, and had a massive sense of superiority that made her careless. In my first life, she'd constantly complained about money while spending hundreds on designer coffee and clothes. She'd always wanted to have everything I had, but without working for it. And she was obsessed with this show, Love and Betrayal, a trashy drama about beautiful people doing terrible things to each other. She'd made me watch it with her before in my first life. Used to binge entire seasons in single sittings. The new season was dropping in 2 weeks. I knew because she wouldn't shut up about it on social media. And I knew her subscription had lapsed because she'd complained about it in my first timeline, right before asking to use my account. So I waited. And right on schedule, during our lunch break in the Vertex cafeteria, she brought it up. Ugh, I'm so broke this month, Jessica sighed, picking at her salad. The divorce lawyer bills are killing me. I had to cancel all my subscriptions. I made a sympathetic noise. That's rough. Is there anything I can do? She hesitated, doing this thing she always did when she wanted something, looking up through her lashes, biting her lip slightly. I mean, I know this is a huge ask, but could I maybe use your Netflix account? Just until I get back on my feet? The new season of Love and Betrayal comes out next week, and I'm literally dying. I pretended to consider it, let her sweat for just a moment. Of course, I said finally, pulling out my phone. Let me write down the password for you. Her face lit up. Really? Oh my God, Ellie, you're the best. I'll only use it for that one show, I promise. I smiled and wrote my email and password on a napkin, handed it over like it was nothing. Don't worry about it. What are friends for? She had no idea. No idea at all. That afternoon, I stopped by IT security, made small talk with David Chen, the security lead I'd worked with on several projects, mentioned casually that I'd been noticing some irregularities in access patterns on my team's shared project files. Nothing definite, just a feeling. You want me to flag any unusual access? David asked, his fingers already flying across his keyboard. If it's not too much trouble, I'd like to know who's looking at what. We're getting close to launch, and I want to make sure we're airtight on security. He nodded seriously. David took security violations personally. I'll set up alerts on your project folders. Any access outside normal parameters, you'll get a notification. And I'll start running deeper monitoring on your team's accounts. Standard protocol for pre-launch security review. Thanks, David. I really appreciate it. I walked back to my office feeling like a chess player who'd just set up the perfect trap. The next week was almost boring. Jessica logged into Netflix from her work computer exactly as I'd anticipated. I could see it in the monitoring dashboard I now had access to, courtesy of David's security review. She watched episode after episode of Love and Betrayal during work hours, racking up violations of company policy. But I needed more than that. Policy violations would get her written up, maybe fired if she had enough of them. But I wanted total destruction. I wanted everything she'd done to me, was planning to do to me, exposed and punished. I needed her to get comfortable, to get careless. So I waited. I also started documenting everything else. Every time Jessica asked about my project, I saved the conversation. Every time she needed to quickly check her email on my computer, I noted the timestamp. Every late meeting Marcus claimed to have, I tracked. I was building a timeline, a pattern, a web of evidence. And I started changing my own behavior, subtly. In my first life, I'd been an open book with my work. I'd share my progress, brainstorm with my team, leave my notes out on my desk. This time, I kept everything locked down, encrypted files, password-protected documents, nothing in the shared drives that could be copied. Jessica noticed. "You're being so secretive about this project," she commented one day, trying to sound teasing but coming off annoyed. "It's not like we don't all have clearance." "Company's really cracking down on data security," I said with a shrug. "You know how it is with the Titan Corp situation last year? They're paranoid about leaks." I watched her face carefully, saw the flash of calculation in her eyes. Perfect. If she couldn't steal my work the easy way, she'd have to try harder, take bigger risks, make bigger mistakes. I was counting on it. 2 weeks after I'd given Jessica my Netflix password, Marcus came home late again. "Big client meeting ran over," he said, kissing my cheek perfunctorily. "How did it go?" I asked, setting the table for dinner. Good. Might need to work late tomorrow too, wrap some things up." In my first life, I'd believed him every time. Trusted him completely. Now I saw the tells. The way he wouldn't quite meet my eyes. The shower he took immediately when he got home, the phone he kept face down on the counter. "Sure, honey," I said sweetly. "Whatever you need to do." That night, while he slept, I installed a tracking app on his phone. The same one he'd used on mine, ironically, in our first life together. I'd found it during the divorce proceedings, one more betrayal in a sea of them. Turnabout is fair play. Within 3 days, I had what I needed. Location data showing him at the Riverside Hotel every Tuesday and Thursday evening. The same hotel where he'd taken Jessica in my first life. Some people really are creatures of habit. But I still couldn't prove who he was meeting. I needed more. The opportunity came from an unexpected place, the company wellness program. Vertex had recently implemented a mental health initiative that included free counseling sessions and stress management workshops. Jessica, always looking for ways to slack off during work hours, had signed up for twice-weekly meditation sessions. The sessions were held in the Wellness Center on the 3rd floor, 45 minutes every Tuesday and Thursday from 4 to 4:45 p.m. The same days and approximate times Marcus was at the Riverside Hotel. I checked the monitoring logs. On those days, Jessica would log out of her desktop at exactly 3:55 p.m. But her Netflix account, my Netflix account, would show activity from a mobile device starting around 4:15 p.m. She wasn't at the Wellness Center. She was at the hotel watching Netflix with my husband while they took a break from screwing each other. The audacity was almost impressive. I downloaded the mobile device usage data and compared it with Marcus's location data. Perfect overlap. Tuesday and Thursday afternoons like clockwork. But data alone, while damning, wasn't quite enough. I needed something more visceral, more undeniable. I needed communication records. That's when I remembered the Slack messages. Vertex used Slack for all internal communication, and Slack, being a business tool on company computers, was fully subject to the same monitoring as everything else. Every message, every channel, every DM, all archived and accessible to IT security and senior management during investigations. I'd never thought to check Slack in my first life. Why would I? I trusted them both. I went back to David Chen. Hey, David, remember those irregularities I mentioned? I'm seeing some weird patterns in file access. Could you pull the Slack logs from my team for the past month? I want to see if there's any communication correlation with the access timestamps. He frowned. That's getting into pretty serious investigation territory, Ellie. I'd need to file a formal security review request. I nodded seriously. I think that's appropriate. I have reason to believe there might be unauthorized sharing of proprietary information. I'd rather be overly cautious than risk another leak. The mention of leaks did it. The Titan Corp incident the previous year had resulted in 3 people being fired and a lawsuit. Vertex was paranoid about data security now. I'll file the paperwork today, David said. Should have the access granted by tomorrow. Thanks, David. I really hope I'm wrong about this. I wasn't wrong. I was never going to be wrong again. The Slack logs were a goldmine. Jessica had created a private DM channel with Marcus using her personal phone number, a violation right there, using personal contact info to circumvent company monitoring. But what she didn't realize was that her work computer was logged into Slack, and Slack desktop syncs all messages, even ones sent from mobile. Every message was there. Can't wait for Tuesday. Same place? 4 p.m. Don't be late this time. She's working late tonight. We could go to your place? Did you see her new project? If we could get the specs. Working on it. She's being paranoid about security, though. Try the Netflix thing. People always stay logged in. You could screen cap the files. The Netflix thing, they'd planned it. The whole sympathetic I'm so broke routine had been a setup to get access to something of mine. They'd hoped I'd stay logged into other things, email, cloud storage, work portals. Joke's on them. I'd logged out of everything except Netflix, and Netflix was exactly where I wanted her. I kept reading, my hands remarkably steady despite the rage building in my chest. When are you going to leave her? Soon, after the project launches. I don't want to risk the mess affecting my promotion. You said that last month. I mean it this time. Once we have our algorithm, we can both jump to Titan Corp. They're offering 30% above our current salaries. How are we going to get it? She's locked everything down. You'll figure something out. You always do. That's why I love you. Love you too. Can't wait until we don't have to hide anymore. The messages went back months. Started innocuously enough. Friendly, then flirty, then explicit. Plans for hotel meetings. Complaints about me. Fantasies about their future together, built on my destruction. But the really damning stuff was about the data theft. They'd been planning it for weeks, discussed approaches, strategies, tried and failed attempts. Jessica had been trying to install keyloggers on my computer. Marcus had attempted to guess my passwords. They'd even considered breaking into my home office. All of it documented, all of it time-stamped, all of it in clear violation of corporate policy, confidentiality agreements, and probably several laws. I downloaded everything, backed it up in 3 separate locations, encrypted it with a password only I knew. Then I sat back and waited for the final piece to fall into place. It happened on a Thursday. Jessica had been getting bolder with her Netflix usage. Started watching during work hours openly, not even bothering to minimize the window when people walked past her cube. Why would she? It wasn't her account. If anyone noticed, it would be my policy violation, not hers. That was the beauty of it. She thought she was safe. On Thursday at 2:47 p.m., Jessica accessed the shared project drive. Standard stuff, nothing unusual, but then at 2:51 p.m., she accessed a subfolder she had no authorization for. The encrypted files containing my algorithm specifications. The access attempt triggered David's alerts immediately. He called me within minutes. Ellie, we've got an unauthorized access attempt on your secure folders. Jessica Harper just tried to open restricted files. Did she get in? No, the encryption held, but she tried 5 times using some kind of brute force password script. That's pretty serious. I let my voice shake slightly. That's the core algorithm, David. If that gets out, I know, I'm escalating this to HR and legal right now. We'll need to do a full forensic audit of her accounts. Do what you need to do. I hung up and allowed myself a small smile. The forensic audit would uncover everything: the Netflix violations, the Slack messages, the attempted data theft, all of it. But I wasn't done. I wanted to watch it happen. At 4 p.m., Jessica logged out of her computer and headed to her meditation session. I watched her go, chatting on her phone as she walked to the elevator. So confident, so careless. 20 minutes later, David knocked on my office door. He wasn't alone. Carolyn Reeves from HR and Marcus Chen from legal were with him. Ellie, we need to talk about the audit findings, Carolyn said, her face grave. I gestured to the chairs. Of course, what did you find? David pulled up his laptop, turned it so I could see. It's extensive. Jessica Harper has been violating company policy in multiple serious ways: misuse of companies, resources, unauthorized access attempts, compromised security protocols, but there's more. He showed me the Slack messages, watched my face carefully as I read them. I let myself look shocked, hurt, betrayed. It wasn't hard. Even knowing it was coming, seeing it spelled out like that, the casual cruelty, the calculated planning, the complete disregard for everything I'd thought we shared, it still hurt. Is this about my husband? I asked, my voice cracking perfectly. Carolyn reached out and touched my hand. I'm so sorry, Ellie. We found extensive communication between Jessica and a Marcus Reeves. Based on the content, they're planning to steal your algorithm and sell it to Titan Corp. We've already contacted the FBI. This isn't just a company policy violation, it's corporate espionage. The FBI? I whispered. Marcus from legal nodded. The economic value of your algorithm is estimated in the tens of millions. Attempted theft of intellectual property at that level is a federal crime. We're also filing a civil suit against both Jessica and anyone else involved. Anyone else involved? Marcus Reeves. My husband. What happens now? Dantes, I asked. Security is detaining Jessica when she returns from her break. We've locked down her accounts and seized her computer and phone. We'll need to do a full investigation. And Ellie? Carolyn paused. I know this is difficult, but we'll need you to provide any additional information you have, anything that might be relevant. I took a deep breath, reached into my desk drawer and pulled out a folder. I think I might have something, I said quietly. The folder contained everything: my own documentation of Jessica's behavior, Marcus's location data, obtained legally from his phone that was on our shared family plan, copies of hotel receipts I'd found while organizing our finances, a timeline of their affair mapped against attempted access to my files. I'd been building this case for weeks. Carolyn's eyes widened as she flipped through the pages. This is incredibly thorough. I'm in cybersecurity, I said simply. When I notice a pattern, I document it. I didn't want to believe it, but you did the right thing bringing this to us, David said. This is going to be a huge help to the investigation. They left with promises to keep me updated. I sat in my office, alone, and let out a long breath. It was happening, really happening. At 5:17 p.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Working late again? Don't wait up. I texted back, no problem. Take your time. At 5:43 p.m., Jessica was escorted out of the building by security. I watched from my office window as they walked her to their office in the north building, her face confused and angry. She tried to use her phone, but they'd already disabled her access. She was going to have a very long evening. At 6:02 p.m., 2 FBI agents arrived. I watched them get buzzed in, showed their credentials to reception. At 6:47 p.m., my phone rang. Marcus. Ellie, what the hell is going on? The FBI just showed up at my office with questions about Jessica Harper and some data theft. They're asking about my relationship with her and, I don't know, honey, I said, injecting worry into my voice. They were here too. Something about Jessica trying to steal company secrets? They asked me about her, about who she was close with. Silence on the other end. I could practically hear him thinking, calculating. What did you tell them? He asked carefully. The truth, that she was my friend, that she worked on my team. Why? Is there something else I should have mentioned? More silence. "No," he said finally. "No, nothing. I'm going to be late. This is this is crazy." "I'm sure it'll all get sorted out," I said soothingly. Come home when you can." He didn't come home that night, or the next. On Friday morning, Carolyn called me into her office. The CEO was there, the general counsel, the head of IT security. "Ellie, first, I want to apologize on behalf of Vertex Technologies," the CEO said. "You trusted your team, and that trust was violated in the worst possible way. We take full responsibility for not catching this sooner." "Thank you," I said quietly. "The investigation has uncovered extensive evidence of corporate espionage. Jessica Harper was planning to steal your algorithm and sell it to Titan Corp for a significant sum. She had an accomplice, Marcus Reeves." I let my face crumple. "My husband." "I'm so sorry, son," Carolyn said. "We've provided all evidence to the FBI. They'll be pressing charges. We're also pursuing civil action to recover damages and ensure this doesn't happen again." The general counsel leaned forward. "Ellie, your quick thinking and thorough documentation made this case airtight. Without the evidence you gathered, this could have gone much differently. You potentially saved this company tens of millions of dollars, not to mention our competitive position." The CEO nodded. "We'd like to offer you a promotion. Senior Vice President of Innovation and Security. Significant raise, equity package, and a seat on the executive committee. You've proven you have the instincts and integrity we need in leadership." I let myself look surprised, grateful, overwhelmed. I don't know what to say." "Say yes," the CEO smiled. "You've earned it." "Yes," I said. "Thank you, yes." The FBI arrested Jessica on Monday. Corporate espionage, attempted theft of trade secrets, wire fraud, federal crimes, each carrying years of prison time. Her mugshot made the local news. Her perfectly styled hair disheveled, her face puffy from crying, her eyes wide with disbelief. She'd actually thought she'd get away with it. Marcus was arrested 2 days later. His company fired him immediately. His professional reputation, so carefully cultivated, destroyed overnight. The text messages came in waves from Jessica. "How could you do this to me? I thought we were friends. You set me up. That Netflix account was a trap." "Please, Ellie, tell them they're wrong. Tell them I didn't do it. I'm going to prison because of you." From Marcus, "We need to talk. Ellie, please, let me explain. This is all a misunderstanding. Jessica manipulated me. I never meant to hurt you. Please don't let them destroy my life over a mistake." I didn't respond to any of them. The trial was swift. The evidence was overwhelming. Jessica's own messages, her computer logs, the Netflix data showing her watching TV when she claimed to be in meetings, the attempted file access, all of it painted a clear picture of intent and action. She took a plea deal, 6 years in federal prison. Marcus took one too. 4 years. I filed for divorce the day he was sentenced. Kept the house, the car, most of our savings. He didn't contest it. Couldn't really from prison. The Titan Corp connection went even deeper than I'd known. During the investigation, it came out that they'd been actively recruiting corporate spies from competitors. Jessica was one of 6 people they had placed at various tech companies. The FBI investigation expanded. Titan Corp's CEO resigned. Their stock price tanked. Several executives faced criminal charges. My algorithm launched 3 months later to massive acclaim. Vertex's stock price soared. My equity package made me wealthy, properly wealthy, not just comfortable. The tech press called it the security breakthrough of the decade. I gave interviews, went to conferences, became the face of Vertex's innovation wing. And through it all, I remembered that apartment with the water-stained ceiling, the $17 in my bank account, the feeling of having lost everything. I remembered dying alone and broken while my best friend and my husband built their happiness on my destruction. I remembered, and I made sure it never happened again. 6 months after the sentencing, I was in my corner office on the executive floor reviewing proposals for next year's projects when my assistant knocked. There's someone here to see you, she said hesitantly. She doesn't have an appointment, but she says it's important. Jessica Harper's mother? I hadn't expected that, but I nodded. Send her in. Mrs. Harper looked older than I remembered. Grayer, tired. Ellie, she said, sitting down uninvited. Thank you for seeing me. Of course, Mrs. Harper. What can I do for you? I want you to drop the civil suit against Jessica. She's already in prison. She's lost everything. You don't need to take what little she has left. I regarded her carefully. In my first life, this woman had been like a second mother to me, had made me birthday cakes, had helped me move into my first apartment, had told me I was the daughter she wished she'd had. I'm not the one suing her, I said evenly. Vertex Technologies is. The company lost millions in potential revenue and had to spend significant resources on the investigation and security upgrades. They're entitled to damages. You could ask them to drop it. You have influence now. I could, I agreed, but I won't. Her face hardened. She made a mistake. She's paying for it. Why do you need to be so cruel? A mistake? I kept my voice level. Mrs. Harper, your daughter planned for months to steal my work and destroy my career. She had an affair with my husband as part of that plan. She tried to frame me for the theft. That's not a mistake. That's calculated malice. She was struggling. You had everything, the job, the husband, the success. She just wanted what I earned, I interrupted. Everything I had, I worked for. Jessica wanted the rewards without the work. And when she couldn't have that, she tried to take it from me. She made her choices. She's living with the consequences. Mrs. Harper stood up, her hands shaking. You used to be such a kind girl. What happened to you? I met her eyes. I learned that kindness, without boundaries, is just weakness waiting to be exploited. She left without another word. I turned her back to my computer, to the project proposals, to the future I was building. That night, I went home to my house, my beautiful, spacious house in the good part of town. I poured myself a glass of wine. I sat on my back deck and watched the sunset. And I thought about the Netflix account. That stupid, simple Netflix account that had been the key to everything. Because here's the thing about traps. The best ones use your victim's own nature against them. Jessica was lazy and entitled. She wanted things she hadn't earned. She thought she deserved to take shortcuts, to use other people's resources without consequence. All I did was give her the opportunity to be exactly who she was. The work computer monitoring did the rest. Every episode of Love and Betrayal she watched on company time. Every message she sent to Marcus planning their affair and their theft. Every attempted access to files she had no right to see. Every violation of company policy she committed because she thought she was too smart to get caught. All of it recorded, time-stamped, archived, admissible in court. People always ask how I knew it would work, how I knew she'd be so careless. I knew because I'd watched her get away with it before. In my first life, she'd been careless because she never faced consequences. She'd stolen my work, stolen my husband, destroyed my life, and walked away clean. This time, I made sure there were consequences. This time, I made sure the recordings were watched by people who mattered. This time, I won. My phone buzzed. A notification from Netflix. Continue watching Love and Betrayal? I smiled and clicked, no thanks. I've had enough betrayal for one lifetime. Actually, 2 lifetimes. But only one of them counted now. A year later, I'm headhunted by 3 major tech companies. I stay with Vertex out of loyalty. They supported me when everything went down. My algorithm becomes the industry standard. I win awards, make Forbes' 30 under 40 list. I date eventually. Take it slow. Trust doesn't come easy anymore, even with the gift of foresight. But I'm careful, strategic. I've learned that love is wonderful, but independence is essential. Jessica serves her full sentence. No early release. In prison, she apparently finds religion. Writes me letters apologizing, asking for forgiveness. I don't respond. Forgiveness is for people who made mistakes. She made choices. Marcus gets out after 3 years on good behavior. I hear through mutual friends that he's working at a car dealership, struggling to rebuild his life. His professional reputation never recovers. The tech industry has a long memory. Sometimes I wonder if I was too harsh. If I let my anger from the first timeline drive me to cruelty in this one? Then I remember. In my first life, when they'd already won, when I'd already lost everything, Jessica came to my apartment and told me about the betrayal, not out of guilt or remorse, but to gloat, to revel in her victory, to make sure I knew exactly how thoroughly she'd destroyed me. She wasn't sorry then. She's only sorry now because she got caught. And that's not real remorse. That's just regret at facing consequences. So, no, I don't feel guilty. I feel vindicated. I gave her my Netflix password with a smile, knowing exactly what she'd do with it. Knowing her nature, her greed, her conviction that she was smarter than everyone else. I gave her just enough rope and she hanged herself with it. All those hours of love and betrayal she watched on company time, they became Exhibit A in a federal criminal case. All those messages she sent to Marcus planning their treachery, Exhibit B through Z. The work computer recorded everything, just like it was supposed to, just like I knew it would. And when the FBI agents asked me how I'd known to document everything so thoroughly, I told them the truth. I work in cybersecurity. I notice patterns. I trust data, not people. They nodded like that made perfect sense. They never suspected that I'd already lived through this betrayal once, that I'd died from it, that I'd been given an impossible second chance and used it to rewrite my story from victim to victor. Some secrets are better kept. On the 2-year anniversary of Jessica's arrest, I'm promoted again. Executive Vice President, corner office with a view of the whole city, compensation package that makes my accountant nervous about tax brackets. I'm having lunch with the CEO when he asks me, "What's your secret, Ellie? How do you always seem to be 3 steps ahead?" I smile and sip my water. I pay attention. I remember everything, and I never make the same mistake twice. He laughs. "Well, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You're the best thing that's happened to this company in decades." After lunch, I return to my office. There's a package waiting, a gift, from our partners at a European tech firm. I open it to find an elegant bottle of wine and a note, "To celebrate your continued success." I set the wine aside and turn to my computer. There's work to do. Always more work. More algorithms to develop, more security protocols to design, more innovation to drive. But first, I check my personal email. There's a message from a name I don't recognize. I almost delete it as spam, but something makes me open it. "Dear Ellie, you don't know me, but I know what happened with Jessica Harper. I'm in a similar situation. My business partner is stealing from me. I have evidence, but I don't know what to do with it. I read about your case. Could we talk? Please, I'm desperate." I stare at the message for a long moment. Then I hit reply. "Send me everything you have. Let's talk tomorrow." Because here's what I've learned. The world is full of Jessicas. People who smile to your face while sharpening knives for your back. People who see kindness as weakness and trust as opportunity. And the world needs more people who know how to fight back. I can't go back in time for everyone. Can't give everyone a second chance to get it right. But I can share what I learned, can help others protect themselves, can make sure that predators face consequences and victims find justice. It's not revenge anymore. It's purpose. My phone buzzes, a news alert. Jessica Harper seeks early release for good behavior. I read the article. She's been a model prisoner, apparently, teaches computer literacy classes to other inmates, has expressed deep remorse for her actions. The parole hearing is next month. I make a note in my calendar. I'll be submitting a victim impact statement. Detailed, thorough, documented. Because remorse is easy when you're in prison with nothing left to lose. Real change requires more than pretty words and good behavior. It requires actually facing what you've done, understanding the full weight of the harm you caused, and living with those consequences. Jessica wanted to teach me that life isn't fair, that nice girls finish last, that ruthlessness is rewarded. I learned the lesson, just not the way she intended. I learned that ruthlessness works both ways, that the same tools she used to try to destroy me could be turned against her, That patience and planning beat impulse and arrogance every time. I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting mad, it's getting everything: the job, the success, the respect, the life she wanted to steal, and making sure she watches me live it from behind bars. My Netflix account still exists. Same password, even. But I changed the email, secured it properly, don't share it with anyone. Sometimes I watch Love and Betrayal myself, late at night when I can't sleep. Watch the beautiful people destroy each other with schemes and secrets and lies. It's not as satisfying as it used to be. I've seen the real thing, lived it, won it. Fiction. Can't compete with that. The parole hearing comes and goes. I submit my statement. The board denies her early release. She'll serve her full sentence. 6 years, just like the plea deal promised. I don't feel triumphant. Don't feel vindicated. I just feel done. It's over. Really, truly over. And I can finally move on. 3 years after that, I meet someone. A professor of ethics at the university, of all things. He's kind, genuine, has no connection to the tech industry. Knows my story. It's public record after all, but doesn't care. Everyone has a past, he says. What matters is who you are now. Who I am now is someone who survived, who fought back, who won. But also someone who's tired of fighting. Ready, maybe, to try trusting again. We take it slow, very slow. I don't give him my Netflix password until we've been dating for a year. He laughs when I make a big production of it. It's just Netflix, he says. No, I correct him gently. It's trust. Looks at me, understanding dawning. The Jessica thing. The work computer. I nod. He takes the password, saves it in his phone, then pulls me into a hug. I won't betray that trust, he says. I promise. And because I've learned to trust data over promises, I check. Install monitoring on my own accounts, just in case. Old habits die hard, but the data shows what I hoped. He watches terrible action movies and cooking shows. Nothing suspicious, nothing hidden. Just a guy who likes explosions and learning how to make pasta from scratch. I let myself relax, just a little. Let myself believe that maybe not everyone is a Jessica. That maybe, in this second life I've built, there's room for happiness too. Not just revenge, not just success, but actual, genuine happiness. 4 years after the arrest, I get a message from an unknown number. Ellie, it's Jess. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I'm getting out next month. I wanted you to know I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. What I did was unforgivable. I don't expect forgiveness. I just wanted you to know that I understand now what I destroyed, who I hurt. I'm sorry. I read it 3 times, then I delete it without responding. Some bridges once burned should stay ashes. But that night, I sleep better than I have in years. Because it's really over now. The girl who died in a car crash with $17 and no hope, she's gone. The woman who rose from those ashes and took back everything, she's here. And she's never letting anyone make her a victim again. I gave her my Netflix password. She thought it was kindness. It was justice. And in the end, that made all the difference.